When we look at this idea of behavior, behavior is comprised of several different areas. We have to look at emotional development, this idea of regulating our feeling state, social development, interacting with others, and ethical development, doing the right thing. Well, my guess is you work with really young children, and the younger they are, the first thing you need to understand is that young children are very egocentric. What does that mean? The world revolves around me. And I talk about this idea of emotional development a lot because if kids cannot regulate their emotional state when they're young, social skills, interaction with others, and cognitive skills are going to mean nothing. So step number one in terms of supporting behavior is looking at this idea of emotional healthy development. So as a classroom teacher, there are several things you can do to support healthy emotional development. Take a W. Put it on your throat and say, I can use my words. Yep, say, I have words. You do have words. And that's what we want to do. We want to teach children to use their words to express their feelings. Think about it. If you have a little bitty baby or a toddler, you have a toddler and you give them broccoli. That toddler wants to say, I don't like broccoli. I'd rather chocolate. Chocolate is yummy. Broccoli is nasty. Let's eat the chocolate first, then we'll have a discussion about the broccoli later. I am aware that the broccoli will make my bones stronger, but I really don't care. Eat the chocolate, then we'll have a discussion. Okay, now can a toddler say all those things? No. So what does he do? Poo-poo head, and he throws the broccoli off the high chair. And what he's trying to tell you is, I don't like broccoli, but I am not very articulate. And I laugh about that because when I'm working with children, sometimes I get mad because I don't understand that behavior is communication. When a child is throwing a fit, they're trying to tell us something. They could be telling us they didn't get enough sleep. They could be telling us they're angry. They want to be first in line. They don't want to listen to a story. But they don't have those words. So if we're going to support emotional development, one of the best things that we can do is help them put words to their feelings. So we have to look at different skills that will do that. One skill that I talk about a lot is accepting disappointment. Now, kids need to learn you don't always get what you want. Teachers will give you what you need, but you don't always get what you want. You can use your words. Repeat after me, say, I'm mad. They're like, I'm mad. And I'll say it again, but this time I want you to use your I mean it face and use your I mean it voice. Use your I mean it face and your I mean it voice. Repeat after me, say, I'm mad. Good. Say, I don't like that. So here's what I'm going to tell you. When we're talking about emotional development, it's not a matter of just teaching words. It's also about teaching them how to use those words. We have to teach them a very important concept. It is this idea of being assertive. Assertive. You see, you have passive, assertive, and aggressive. And a lot of times when kids are trying to exert their opinion or tell you about their feelings, they're very passive about it. I don't like that. Please stop. Well, here's the problem. That other child's not going to stop. Because although you're teaching them the words, you're not teaching them how to mean it with their facial expression and their inflection. So when we're teaching them this idea of emotional regulation, you can't just use the words, you have to use the expression as well. Because a very important life lesson in terms of emotional development is understanding the idea you don't always get what you want. And so it's okay to be mad. Is it okay to throw a chair? Oh, that's not very safe. I teach kids, my job is to keep you safe and help you learn. Well, when we throw chairs, that's not very safe at all. So when we look at emotional development, one of the things that we've talked about is this idea of making sure that we teach kids how to use their words and understand they don't always get what they want. Now see, what I'm trying to do is set a foundation of good vocabulary for kids. When I say things like, you don't always get what you want, I'm going to give you what you need, I am teaching them the words that they need to know in terms of regulating their emotional state. When I teach them words like, I'm mad, I don't like that. That hurts my heart. I'm teaching them how to self-regulate their emotions. And that's an important thing to do. Do you have kids that run around the classroom and they get so excited and they get so excited? Is it okay to be silly? Yes. Is it okay to run around the room and throw things? No. So I'm trying to teach them this whole idea of emotional register through a common vocabulary. Because if I can build a common emotional vocabulary, then I can come back to it later and talk about it. So for example, I will look at a child and a child will say, "Mr. St. Romain, may I go to the water fountain?" And I tell them. Sometimes I'm going to say yes. Sometimes I'm going to have to tell them no. And I teach them, you don't always get what you want. So here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to teach you something very important. Look at me and say, "Oh, well, maybe next time." And the kids will look at me and say, "Oh, well, maybe next time." Yep. When I tell you no, do we throw chairs? Do we bite? Do we kick? No, we use our words. And we say things like, "Oh, well, maybe next time." Not only am I giving kids the words, I'm giving them skills that they can use in a variety of settings. Because if our ultimate goal is helping strengthen their positive behaviors, it has to start with this idea of emotional regulation and healthy emotional development.